Today's episode, we are welcomed by Connor Lovely, also known as Pre-Rich Homie Con on X. Alongside with being a good friend from the University of Florida days, Connor has been an advocate of the DePIN space from the beginning. Connor now works in BD at IoTeX, who is the leading infrastructure provider for the decentralized physical infrastructure network space. And previously, he has done strategy consulting at BCG alongside with founding two DePIN mining startups. In today's episode, we will be highlighting the launch of IoTex's two new products in which XNET was the launch partner, one being Deepin Scan and one being the Deepin Liquidity Hub, both which will do a major part to propel the DePIN narrative to the front pages in the next cycle. Enjoy the episode, guys.
IoTeX started out in 2017 or 2018 building an IoT-focused layer one. It's EVM compatible. So we started with kind of like the base blockchain layer. And then in the past few years, we've moved up the stack a bit to build some middleware. So Webstream is our decentralized off-chain middleware kind of platform. It's basically like a layer two. It can settle to any chain. So we've got support for Solana, Polygon, obviously Ethereum, all EVM compatible chains. But basically what it allows DePIN projects and founders to do is ingest data from physical devices, into Webstream, create a project in there, apply any kind of like business logic or tokenomic rules or any kind of computation, run that on that data and generate proofs of both the data and the computation run on it, and then submit those proofs to smart contracts on any blockchain to trigger token incentive streams, NFT mints, additions to metadata for NFTs, like really could be anything. IoTeX itself as a company is kind of like a bridge between the real world and blockchains. And then obviously what we're building with our layer one and with Webstream are products or like software services that allow DePIN projects to bridge what they're doing in the real world and what they're doing on blockchains much more easily. So Deepin Scan is our first product from Webstream, which is that middleware layer. And Deepin Scan is basically like a map explorer in a box. We have realized, having been in this market for a couple of years now, that basically every DePIN project has physical devices in the real world. They want to get them shown on a map, show some other data about them, whether it's number of devices, their location, their online, offline status, those types of things. And we are trying to take as much work off the plates of DePIN founders as possible, make it easy for them to grow their projects quickly, make it easy for new DePIN projects to sprout up. So we basically commoditized this part of like the DePIN tech stack, which is the map explorer. So Deepin Scan is basically a public good. It's free and easy to integrate with. Took about an hour probably. XNET is on it, which we'll show you shortly. And it just allows DePIN projects to have their own map explorer very quickly and easily. It's kind of like a resource for the whole DePIN space and provides projects with a profile page and a way to kind of track all the relevant metrics like number of devices, token price, etc. So I will screen share now.
Show you guys what this kind of high level, kind of what you said on IoTeX. Obviously, like that pain point, right? When a DePIN project launches, just working for one myself, it's like you have a million things going on. You have deals you need to make, tokenomics, things to sort out, community stuff. So it's like, I think IoTeX really takes the lead there. So, I mean, the Explorer is great. It's all kind of in one place. Maybe new projects don't even have to really build their own kind of native Explorer. Obviously, when DePIN started, it was small. There's a few projects. So, but even just from experience, like when the Explorer goes down, it's just another thing to worry about, right? So, you can share the screen. Let's check out. Steve just joined. What's up, Steve?
Connor, Sean. Hey guys, long time no see.
How are you, man? It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Great to see you. I hear you're killing it at IoTeX. So
yes, sir. Thank you. Likewise, you joined at the perfect time. We just did all the kind of boring intro. What is IoTeX? yeah, what is Deepin Scan also? So I was about to screen share.
Right well,
So
don't let me stop you. Distracted. Let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm curious to hear as well.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so exciting part coming up here. So I need to share. Yeah, other monitor. Here we go. Okay. So I know both of you are probably familiar with what Deepin Scan looks like, but for anyone in the audience that is not, like I said, basically any Deepin project will need some kind of map explorer like this where they can see the physical location of their devices. This is the homepage, so it's obviously the whole world. It's all the Deepin projects that are integrated with Deepin Scan. So this is total number of devices, market cap, how many countries, and then these are the 16 projects that are integrated with Deepin Scan as of now. Always looking to add more. XNET is one of them. If we select XNET, we're going to see a lot of nodes out in California where you guys are based and testing things. So the other interesting page to check out is the projects page. So I'll go to XNET here as well. This is kind of just like a table format with a lot of data on all the projects. The interesting thing that's here that you probably won't see on like a CoinMarketCap or anything else is maybe like the social following on Twitter, that column, and then also miner cost, estimated daily earnings, and days to break even. So that's information we have for some projects that I don't think is really present anywhere else, but it's obviously all estimations. We just know it's relevant for people deploying hardware and for investors and that kind of thing. But if we go to a specific profile page like XNET here, so you can see like we've got a bio, token price chart, number of devices, the messages they're sending, like where they're at in the world, which would be again over here. We got some looks like in New York too, in Texas. It's probably our LongFi friends.
It's the Houston cluster, yeah.
Sweet. And then this is the token price on QuickSwap, which we should put Mimo in here, which is our DEX, which is what I'm going to talk about next. But yeah, that's the basic overview. I think we've definitely found some like initial product market fit from especially new Deepin projects who like don't have an Explorer yet, don't want to have to build it. They can integrate for free in an hour with this and kind of have their own page here.
Yeah, that's even when like the new cycle, at least when things start really kicking up here, right? It's like there's so many Deepin projects now, and we've been seeing that VCs all over the space, investors, just CEOs are talking about Deepin as kind of one of the top 5 narratives going into the new cycle. So it's like this just gives them a directory and place to go, right? It's like if I don't know about Deepin, I'm not going to sift through individual Twitters to find what I'm interested to invest in. So this is kind of all in one go-to hub that you guys have built. And that's what I'm honestly pretty bullish on. I'm going into this next cycle.
Yeah, that's great. I've never seen everything consolidated to one space. And, this world map view is like unique amongst like the DePIN sort of mindset, like, because a lot of projects don't have such a geographic element to it. So that's cool to see it in one place. I'm curious, you said, there's some initial product market fit. What kind of surprises or surprising feedback or interesting conclusions have you drawn from it so far?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, which I kind of helped champion like internally, is that originally we were going to launch with maybe not just this, but like something that looked like this. So very much like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko-esque. After like talking with a lot of Deepin projects and just having been in the space for a while, like I realized how important having like a physical map was, even if it's like, mostly to look cool and you're filtering different projects by like where they're at in the world, even though most of like the rich data, I would say is like on this projects page and on the individual profile pages. I think this is just super powerful to for projects to show where their devices are from like a marketing standpoint, and then also for people that are looking to check out the Deepin space and see like where are these devices located. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like it's not the richest data that's on this page, but I think it's like it's really important as like a homepage of any Deepin Map Explorer, but especially a Map Explorer for the whole Deepin space or a lot of the projects in it. So that was one big like piece of feedback or iteration product wise we made. Trying to think of what else. I mean, we've gone back and forth on the columns to include here for a while, including like days to break even and estimated daily earnings. These are like very much estimates. There's a lot of like complex tokenomics that goes into each project to get this number, and it's always an estimate. But we realized like that's a pretty interesting differentiator that we could provide to people. And I think it's just interesting to have an idea. I mean, that's like this column is probably where the vast majority of the alpha lies within specific Deepin projects. Because I mean that's really like the core question anyone that's buying hardware is going to ask themselves. What can I earn? Like how much can I earn per day versus how much does the miner cost? That's like the core question of Deepin and Deepin contributors. And we need to obviously build it out more for more projects, have it be as accurate as possible. But I think it's good to even have there to kind of spark interest and like try to deliver some data around that like super core metric.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the integration side, I'm assuming XNET. I think we were one of the first 10, right, to integrate with you guys, but
probably first five.
First five, but I assume in terms of integration, right? If any new DePIN project out there wants to integrate with IoTeX, it's probably much smoother. You guys probably have a process in place now that's just kind of like 3 steps, and then you're basically on there.
Yeah.
Not 3 steps.
You're doing my job for me. That's 100% right. So like the call to action here is if you are a Deepin project founder and you either want your own Map Explorer or you want a secondary one, you want another one you don't have to maintain. Integration is free. It is easy. It probably takes about an hour. And we've got really good developer documentation around basically how to hook up your backend, your server to Webstream to get this data ported in and have it update automatically. So feel free to DM me on Twitter or that's probably the easiest way to reach out. Or Telegram.
Shout out IoTeX devs. I was mainly kind of the interface to get this all going with Connor, and it was pretty smooth. Like they're available around the clock, kind of answer you whenever if you have an issue. So definitely shout out IoTeX devs. You guys are killing it.
They are the best. Yes, sir. The devs are deving.
Devs are deving.
Yeah, good. Are we good to move on to Mimo stuff now?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So all this, actually Aaron was on our AMA 2 nights ago. I don't know if you heard that, but he kind of announced it on air. You guys dropped the announcement yesterday, but amazing stuff, dude. Take it away.
Thank you. I'm just going to pull up the blog post real quick and page through it, and then we can do some screen sharing. Cool. Okay, so pull IoTeX Twitter over here. So we just published this tweet 17 hours ago. It's kind of like the official launch of the Deepin Liquidity Hub, which is our latest initiative, kind of product service that we are shipping. So definitely check out this post, and there's a blog post attached on the IoTeX Twitter. Honestly, I think I could just do a quicker, easier overview of this rather than scrolling through. So basically the idea, and let me stop sharing so I don't distract myself, and then I'll come back. Sweet. So the idea here is that liquidity for Deepin tokens is at best like okay, and a lot of times really not great at all, especially for smaller projects. And especially when you're talking about decentralized exchange liquidity. Like some of the Deepin projects have listings on centralized exchanges, so that helps. But I think having the ability to transact on a DEX is also important. So that's an issue, because if a token incentive is being paid out to kind of grow your network to contributors and it's not that liquid, you're kind of hurting yourself both on the supply and demand side of things. So on the supply side of things, like if contributors, if miners do want to sell some of their earnings and there's not that much liquidity, when they do sell, crashes the price. That's bad. When investors or professional or like kind of retail investors are looking to buy the token, they're going to be discouraged in doing that because they're going to moon the price if they put in even like a small order. So Deepin token liquidity is very important. We kind of saw it lacking for a lot of projects, and it's just kind of one of these other things that Deepin projects shouldn't necessarily have to worry about so much. Same with like building their own map explorer. There's only so many things like you guys and other Deepin projects should have to worry about, and having the token be liquid shouldn't be number one at the top of that list. Like ideally that's facilitated by other people, by investors that own the token, etc. So since we've been around for a while now, since 2017 and 2018, we've built out and accumulated a lot of pretty diverse tools and like pieces of infrastructure that allow us to do this in a way that I don't think any other project could. So we've got things like, we've got our own layer one, we've got a multi-chain bridge, we've got a multi-chain wallet, we've got a fully functional decentralized exchange as well called Mimo. So we've got, I can put links to all of this stuff in like the show notes and on Twitter, but kind of combining all of those tools allows us to basically bridge Deepin tokens over from their native chains to IoTeX, create liquidity pools on our decentralized exchange Mimo, and then try to drive mostly liquidity, but also trading volume on that DEX for those Deepin projects. So the way we're currently doing it, or kind of like the offer, the call to action is like, if you are a Deepin project, you're interested in increasing your token liquidity, we will match you up to $10,000, sometimes more, in IoTeX. So that's our native token if you provide the same amount in your native token. So the idea here would be like, XNET contributes $5,000 of XNET, we contribute $5,000 of IoTeX, that's $10,000 of liquidity total. We have a whole multi-sig process that's pretty simple, where we both send the funds in, retain custody of them, both sign to create the liquidity pool, and then we're kind of kickstarted with $10,000 of liquidity like that. And then both us and XNET or the other Deepin project can do some co-marketing around that. At the very least, letting their community and user base know like, hey, there's liquidity for our token here. It's another place that you can trade and transact on. So we launched 17 hours ago. I'll screen share again. We have already got, I think it's $130,000 of liquidity. And let me actually pull up these exact numbers.
And then if you could also touch on kind of, I think I saw the number, I think your CEO Rowland posted it, but just kind of the total liquidity right across Mimo, I think is also kind of a cool metric to understand.
Yeah. Just wanted to get the latest metrics here, but yeah, I mean, so I can start with Mimo as a whole. So this is the analytics page for the DEX. So we've got about $8.5 million of liquidity across like all tokens, all pairs here. And then the volume we've been doing is, I guess, like 70K, roughly 70K in the last 24 hours. So there's a lot of tokens trading here. It's obviously mostly IoTeX, stables, that kind of thing. But since launching the Deepin Liquidity Hub yesterday, we're at 136K of liquidity for Deepin tokens across 6 kind of pools, pairs, and around $20,000 or $30,000 of trading volume in the last 24 hours across the 6 tokens as well. So haven't even really like gone public with it yet. I guess we just did. But it's actually very, very cool to see trades coming in real time from probably mostly IoTeX community members, but hopefully in the near future, people that are in the Deepin space hopping over the IoTeX chain, wanting to trade here.
And I had a thought there too. It's like not even, it's like you have all these native ecosystems, right? There's obviously, I think Deepin's mostly Solana, Polygon, Ethereum based, but when the cycle comes, right, it's like you're going to have these traders, investors coming in to buy something. So I guess the convexity kind of there with IoTeX is pretty huge too, because instead of me, I don't know, having to just dedicate to one ecosystem, if I go to IoTeX, it's obviously all cross chain. So I could just buy some IoTeX and kind of invest into whatever Deepin project I want, right? It's all kind of in one place.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the idea. The bridge is obviously fully functional. So if you're on IoTeX L1, you can buy Deepin tokens here, you can buy XNET here, and then bridge it back to Polygon. Like it all works, perfectly fine. You can see trades coming in here, which is super cool. So I think it's actually mostly people buying XNET. So it's probably IoTeX community members swapping their wrapped IoTeX for XNET. But 26 minutes ago, 3 hours, 4 hours, and this was like right after we launched. So super cool to just see like the product working, I think, in real time, and really just looking to get the word out, do some co-marketing around it, and just add more liquidity for these tokens, try to increase trading volume, all that stuff. But yeah, it's a super cool initiative. It's been awesome to be a part of it, help drive it forward, and like really appreciate you guys helping out, willing to be early participants. It's been awesome.
No doubt. I mean, it's great to see a unified effort to bring all the Deepin projects and kind of bootstrap liquidity, spearheaded by the IoTeX team. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could just wrap up. I know 3 of us here have some intimate history in terms of just being in Deepin, right? Being part of the space. I know Steve and Connor, you guys worked together at Hexagon Wireless in the early days, and now Steve and I work together. Connor and I kind of go back to the University of Florida days. Go Gators!
Oh yeah,
that's true. So, University of Florida, such a powerhouse for Deepin talent coming out of there. It's unbelievable.
Deepin powerhouse, testing ground for all DUI hardware.
That's true.
Highest earnings on the network for a while.
It's such a bright spot on the maps across numerous projects.
Yeah. As soon as the project started, it was like Gainesville has like 20% of the total devices online. So that was cool to see, at least in the early days, right? But all of us being, I don't know, at the beginning of the space, and what do you guys kind of want to hear where you guys think it's going? Obviously, everyone's pretty bullish on it, and I don't know if we get a nice low bull run here. What are your guys' predictions on what happens and where this whole thing goes?
I mean, I see Deepin is on this track of legitimized utility for the world, right? No longer, I think it's going to break out of sort of well, there'll always be an element of speculation, but that won't be the entire thing. And I love seeing applications like Demo with, connected to insurance, and it makes sense in a Web3 native context. I love seeing the telecom networks sort of grinded out to produce real life products. Helium and XNET well on their way to that, and just slowly coming into bringing real utility to the meat space. And I think that's where it's going to head. And just looking at that Deepin list that you had from IoTeX, Connor, there's a number of names on there that I've never even heard of. And so obviously, even as someone immersed in the spaces, there's a lot more going on that I haven't even seen. And so these are very worthwhile to check out. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, generally I'm super bullish. It's like I think all 3 of us have been pretty heavily involved in Deepin kind of since the beginning with Helium in 2019, 2020. Saw the crazy kind of like ups of that bull market, have survived through the depths of the bear kind of the past 2 years. And I don't know if we're out of it yet, but it definitely seems like we are on upward trajectory finally, sustained upward trajectory. And I mean, Deepin as a sector just continued to build relentlessly through the bear. Like the amount of new projects I kept hearing about at sometimes sparsely attended conferences, even lots of new projects all the time. People seeing value in like a token incentive model that Helium kind of put forth. And so I think we're getting some of the attention we deserve now as a sector in crypto, which is great. It's been good to have a name for the whole sector. You know, Deepin. Shout out Sammy Kassab and Masari for sure. Uniting us under one banner.
That's right. So, yeah. Use the origin of that word. And also shout out the Proof of Coverage podcast. I mean, probably single best source of alpha there is, maybe.
Let's go.
It's in the top 3. I mean, the names that you guys have had on the show, and relentlessly showcasing new cutting edge sort of projects has been amazing. I listen to every single one that pops up like within hours of its release. So,
man, that means a ton coming from you, Steve. I appreciate that. I guess that's another thing we haven't even talked about that much, but it's been really cool to really double down on the podcast. We were kind of doing episodes haphazardly the last maybe year and a half, but the last couple of months we've really like put the team together around it. Got Sammy from Masari on board as a co-host. Sal and Mahesh have been fantastic in sourcing the highest quality guests, founders I could never get in touch with, but it's really cool to have Render, Bitensor, Akash, Arweave, like all these founders on the podcast and just get to talk with them, get to push and prod on the Deepin narrative a bit. It's been fantastic. We've got a really good cadence now, record every 2 weeks, publish every 2 weeks. And yeah, I've seen a ton of growth, like just looking to be that Deepin podcast and get the word out as much as we can and be early to things, be early to trends, be early to projects, have a good mix of interviewing like the top founders who already have super successful large projects and also uncovering some alpha of founders who are just getting started, maybe the market hasn't heard about. So yeah, it's been really, really cool to work on that. Appreciate the shout out.
For sure.
Thoughts?
We did. We're very bullish Deepin.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude, I think it's going to get interesting because at least like a lot of the traders I've been talking to, I think that's where like the money comes from at some point, right? There's obviously institutional bidding, but then like these guys are spot bags, like average trade size is $1 million, whatever it is. So it's like, I've showed deep into them, like they get it, but they're like, the thinking like on the trading side just to make money. So it's like, all right, we don't think there's a real use case for crypto, right? They're just all there to kind of chase liquidity and be for the volatility. But it's like when these narratives do pop up and the projects are new, a lot of liquidity from them does come and it does siphon in. Like I think we saw that a bit with like the Tau project, the Bitensor project. Like a lot of traders were into that, like the AI God guy or whatever, Al God was kind of feeling it. And it's like there's just a bunch of stuff like that. So I feel like once it actually materializes, it doesn't take just maybe a quick scan on Deepin Scan through the projects, and they're like, yo, like this project has real traction. I can get in early, be a whale, and drive the price up, you know? So I think that's kind of going to be another interesting thing to look out for as these things materialize. But
for sure. I mean, there's multiple Deepin tokens that are up over 50% in the last month.
Exactly.
So one name specifics
starting to happen.
Yourself. I mean,
especially the Solana ecosystem, right? Like that's
yeah,
really popping after Solana ripped. It's like you saw Helium catch a bid. Hive Mapper is on Sol, right?
Mm-hmm.
They caught a fat bid, so it's like
big time.
And I'm sure
exciting.
similar with IoTeX will happen. When IoTeX catches a bid in the bull, it's like a lot of that liquidity is going to then cycle through the DePIN because they're going to be like, all right, there might be a chance for multiples in this compared to IoTeX, but then we can obviously just bridge back to IoTeX when we're done. So it's exciting.
Sure. Yeah, early innings, but definitely a positive outlook for the market. It's great.
All right.
Cool.
Great talking.
Yeah, we'll chat soon.
All right. See you guys.
Peace.